there'll be more coming in the next couple of minutes. But for you guys that are just coming in, this is Mikey Sullivan and Mikey, local homegrown talent, and just a great all around person, and just wonderful footballer, but more importantly, a great guy, and he's here for us this evening, and we're so appreciative of Mike, Mikey putting some time in and helping out the club. And so, yeah, we were just talking to the 06s yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday we were saying, it's you gotta look at the entire match so that you can understand rhythms and tempo. And this has been a great time to slow it up, and this has been a great time to speed it up. And
yeah,
maybe I needed to play one touch there, or I could have taken an extra touch to control it a little bit more. I mean, there's nobody in the country that maybe on one hand, the number of schools that play as well as Pitt does and control the match as well as Pitt does, or at least try to control the match as well as Pitt does. So this level of control is something that's trained, it's taught, and it's learned, and it's certainly a skill. So can you speak to, before we get into the highlights, can you speak a little bit about that control and what you guys do to exhibit that level of control in a match?
I think firstly, it all comes down to like what the game plan is going into each opponent, and then just sticking to it. I mean, if we pick up, well, we'll use Akron for example. When we played them in the NCAA tournament, we knew that both of their backs were going to be a problem for them. So when we were trying to keep possession of the ball, it wasn't so much let's knock the ball around the back. Let's get a little triangle around their right back or their left back, and let's make him get subbed out after the first 16 minutes like their right back did. So it's not so much like training wise, like we put it into work and training, we see what we got to do, but it's more so watching the film and just picking up on the things that where you can exploit your opponent. Like we then train it the next 2 days, but without going through the film, you're not going to know, okay, their weak links, their left back, their right wing, like their right wing doesn't defend. So being able to pick up those little things, and then when the game comes to exploit that, it's big.
So more discussion on film now. When you were heading into college, I asked Colin the same question, from 1 to 10, where were you in regards to 10 being really effective in watching film and knew the importance of it and could break it down, not only your actions, but the team actions, small group and large group actions, where were you as a 17, 18-year-old compared to, and then give me another score, where are you right now?
I'd say, so up until, I'll say me and you did the breakdown of Pitt that the summer before I came.
Yeah.
3, maybe a 2 for where I was film study wise. I think after doing that with you, looking into like not watching myself, more so watching the game and like the intricacies of the game, I think it got up to maybe a 4.5, 5.
Yeah.
But compared to where it is now, it's night and day. Yeah. Where it is now. Like we'll watch a training afterwards, like our training today, watch it and just go through and be like, yeah, like that's an action I wouldn't have even rewatched in high school, and I'll watch it 4, 5, 6 times. So it's trying to pick up on much smaller things than just, okay, that was a good pass. Where could I have moved an extra half yard, created, unbalanced the defender a little bit, created another option. So,
oh man, you're speaking my language, man. 5, 6 times, I love it. So like these guys, if they got to put the time into it, it's a skill that's learned. It's something that you just got to put time into it, and that means you're gonna have to watch stuff 4, 5, 6 times over and over and over again, and take notes. Take notes. Hey guys, while we have you here, we got about, now we're getting close to 2 dozen. We'll probably have about 30 here by 6:30. This is all good. Can you grab a hold of that video, the highlight video from Sully? I think it goes, it's 8 minutes, and if we start it now, by 6:30, we'll be rocking and rolling. We get into our one-on-one. Well, continue it, ask a few more questions, and then give it up to the players. Hey, let's do a 3, 2, 1 play in a second here. And for you guys that are trying to fish around for right now, it's just probably on Team Snap or a captain send it over to you, or a coach. So the first 4 minutes, I believe, the first half is all of Mikey's highlights from, not all, but the first half is some highlights from his youth career at Arsenal, and then the second half are some stuff that he's been doing at Pitt. And yeah, let's go 3, 2, 1, play. I'll turn down the music here, but yeah, I mean, this is against I believe Beelinger Century, and this is a nice little 1-2 that Sully plays, and with the front foot, and able to release Brennan in. Brennan, yeah, so could have done better with the finish, of course, but plays him in. And this is just a summer pickup, but so the intensity certainly isn't there, but that's not why I brought that up. I mean, his head's up. He's, Sully's clipping a ball in behind. He's able to play that kind of a ball, a clip ball. And this is one where Sully's taking, scanning. He's always supporting. And I love this, Sully. Now you get on your horse. Now you read the play, and we've been talking about making 60-yard runs, and there's not enough guys that make those 60-yard runs, and you're in the box. Here, this is that match out in Philly.
Yep.
Emmanuel cutting through, and Devin playing a nice ball to Ev. And then you're in tight little space there, but talk about changing tempo a little bit. Talk about a good decision to knock it out, and then here comes the cross. And then this is when we're playing the MPSL first team as, I think, 18-year-olds, right?
Yes.
Great ball into Evan, and I think it cuts off. Unfortunately, it's a great finish by Evan.
Great finish by him there.
Yeah. I mean, just nice little step over and entice center backs. And, you watch this over and over and over again, guys. You watch this 3 or 4 times, you'll see all the little things that Sully does. You'll see a nonverbal here. He's shown with hands, doesn't get it, but pops out a little bit. Then able to play a nice little 1-2 again to get him behind, and then a nice simple low cross finish cross that should have been finished. And talk about a finish here. This is Pitt's in the house right now. This is against the Beeling team that was a national finalist or whatnot, and Sully just takes over and hits it upper 90. That's Jay right across the way. So Sully finishes one in the first half, and then he finishes another one with his head in the second half, and that's again with both Jay and Richie right on the sideline. So that was an important match that we can talk about in a little bit. And then, of course, his aerial presence again, taking off the line. But Sully can score with his head. He can certainly play the ball with his outside of his boot. That's a nice little skill to show for sure. Some guys can only play with inside. You got Sully coming in underneath here and playing a nice little ball out, changing that tempo there. Now we can get in, but just a bad ball in. But Sully creating there, and this is great because I like this rotation in here. This nice little rotation between you and Ethan. And now you're finding it and running. Once you get into a pocket, you're going, and you're getting the ball into the box under control and getting some crosses in. This got to put some defensive stuff in here, man. So this is our number 10. This is Sully, our number 10, not allowing the player to turn, and because of it, now we're able to press high up the pitch. He might get his stud back into it there, and now we got possession of it. This is nice as well. I mean, Sully able to intercept and then turn that right into transition right away. Nice little 1-2 again, and then looking for one there. More defensive actions here. Just because you're a playmaker doesn't mean that you're not working off the ball and trying to win the ball back. And notice this transition right immediately into the box on the backside. I mean, that's great transition. There he is at Deer Lakes, and then you can see his honors. All section, all whip, all state, and all American, 22 goals and 11 assists, leading into his Pitt career. You want to pick up on this, Sully?
Yeah, this was my first career goal against Cleveland State. Got deep inside the 6th, and then got a little push off the center back to create space. This was Duquesne this year. Great cutback by Gee. This is a point in the game where they'd start dominating us in possession. We couldn't collect the pass. So kind of get the 3-0 there was nice. First round of the NCAA tournament here. Josh Lucchini pushes me through, being able to get in the box and slot one across to Bertine, put us up 1-0 early in the play-in game for the NCAA tournament.
This is not a carbon copy. This is a different goal.
Different goal. NC State first round of the ACCs. I want to say it was 10 minutes into the game. We said we wanted to start fast, and we pushed Lucas Rosa in behind, got their back line, facing their own goal, and he cut the ball back, found me at my feet. It was good. Real good team goal too.
Yeah, always available for the cutback, as you can see. I mean, you got to get into the box. Got to get into the box to score. Speaking of,
second goal of the NC State game, overtime, 92nd minute. Didn't get the play in the second half. And 2 minutes in overtime, we got that one to get it to 2-1.
oh, here's some goals from the MPSL as well. You guys can chat, you can take a look at that. But I think Sully, you score 5 straight goals for our team.
Yep.
I mean, I think maybe 5 straight or 5 out of 6, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Greca with a nice little back heel and a finish by Rocky and Brian off of the cross from. And here's Sully's first goal, headed to the back post, then a penalty in the same game. Next game up in Buffalo, pen, another pen about what, maybe 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later.
Not even. It was quick back to back.
Hat trick, natural hat trick right there. Thank you very much on the backside. So yeah, man. I mean, he fielded the goal last year in the summer. So I mean, that's got to feel good. Got to give you some confidence.
No, it was good. And it was a real good stepping stone to roll back into Pitt. Previous summer, I didn't really have too much of a chance fitness-wise to get back, coming off my knee surgery and stuff. So being able to play with the NPSL guys from May until when I reported back at the end of June was huge. And confidence-wise, it was great. I mean, I was getting to play with guys. Training was good. Games was good. And I felt like myself for the first time in a while.
Yeah, man. It was great to have you. And we're looking forward to, this is the NPSL guys. I mean, Sully's there for another year and bringing most of the guys back. I think yep. Everybody maybe is back. And Brian is
he going USL too?
I'm sorry?
Is he going USL too? I know he was thinking about it.
He was thinking about it, but we got something good cooking. So he's thinking about staying. So this is good. Hey, let me ask you, how does I just bring it out to you. I mean, just give you a difficult one to begin with. How does a player who has all these accolades, who all section, all WPIAL, all state, all American, winning championships, and getting recruited by your local hometown university, and how do you go? What's the mentality like to go from limited minutes as a freshman, right? I mean, maybe I think I counted them up, maybe 140 some minutes freshman year.
146.
146. How do you go from 146? Where's your mindset then? And then how do you get to playing 12 straight, starting 12 straight?
Yep.
I mean, second half of the year for one of the best schools in the country.
I think just being grateful for the opportunities you get. I think it's something Jay preaches to us, just being grateful for the opportunity, grateful to wear the jersey. And like you said, the freshman year, I think I played maybe played in 10 or 11 games, got 146 minutes, and my longest outing was against Penn State for 22. So just being able to take those experiences and stay hungry. I mean, that following spring, we had 15 guys graduate or transfer out of Pitt. So our team was down to 14 healthy guys because we had two or three injured. But that spring when you have the chance to show yourself, when you get to step up and say, these are minutes where I have to prove myself now because there's no one else here. I mean, there's no sub coming in for if you're not playing well. You gotta kind of man up almost. So being able to look that challenge in the eye and say that's what I want to do, I think
Yeah.
was crucial for me.
Well, and the portal is big now, I mean, it's something that is real, and it's good in many respects. There are players that, a coach leaves, a coach recruits you, and a coach maybe 1 or 2 years later finds a better job somewhere else. Grass is always greener, and then they head off for some more money, or it just doesn't work out and they're fired. And then the player who was recruited by him, they're kind of in limbo. And a lot
Yeah.
of those guys leave through the portal, but there's also some guys that are leaving when they're not getting their way or not getting a lot of minutes.
Yep.
And did that ever cross your mind?
I mean, I've seen it here at Pitt with a lot of guys that have been like, yeah, it's just not what I want to do. It's not what I'm feeling right now. I don't know if I'm committed to the team and all that stuff. So not really. I mean, it's been playing in front of the hometown's great. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. My mom coming to all the games.
Yeah.
So, and just the training environment, you're not going to get anywhere else. It's like you could look at the Duquesnes and your Robert Morrises. No offense to those guys, but the training environment isn't the same. I mean, I've
Well,
been to their camps.
talk
Yeah.
talk to me about the training environment at Pitt. What separates them from not just the local schools, but 99% of all schools in the country? What's separating?
I think just the attention to detail and how focused you have to be every minute of a training session. I mean, there's obviously you can talk about the pace and going from a high school club level to like getting out of developmental football into performance football. Like the college level is obviously going to be faster, but playing in the ACC one, it's that much faster. I mean, the skill of all the guys in the ACC is through the roof. And then just the intensity and focus you have to bring in every session. I mean, we're in the facility. We've got a 9 a.m. start of practice. I'm waking up at 6:30, getting to the facility at 7, getting in 2 hours beforehand, watching film, doing my preventatives. Like just all the little attentions to detail is, I think, what sets it apart.
Yeah. So 2 hours before and getting all those preventatives done, making sure that you're activated and ready to roll by 9.
Yep.
Getting some film work done as well. It's fantastic. So you have wonderful facilities,
Yes.
and what the attention to detail, like you said. Now, who sets that culture? Who is it? Just the coach? Is it just
I've
Jay?
it's not, it doesn't come from Jay. I think for like when you get to this level, it comes from the players. I mean, you can have, if the players are slacking off, obviously the coach steps in. But I mean, this level, you've got enough guys where even if you have one or two guys slacking off, it's listen, we're here for a reason. We're not here to goof around. We're not here to joke. We're here to train. So
Yeah.
when you get there in the morning till after training, it's all business.
And then some fun afterwards, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The locker room afterwards is great.
Yeah. And the competitiveness as well is fun, but
Yeah.
it's certainly down to business and getting and checking off boxes and making sure that you're able to gain those small gains every day.
Yep.
So important. Now, it's interesting because you're saying that the players themselves have to push that session forward. Of course, coaches are there to remind, but you did that as, don't lie, you did that as a 16, 15, 14-year-old, 17-year-old. When you were younger, you pushed the sessions along as well. So it wasn't just necessarily getting into college. That was something that was just innate. It was something that you did, and your personality came out and you pushed your guys. I mean, I would say I could put on, I've been doing this thing for 20 some years, and I can put on one hand as the quality of leadership that I see from you. There might be another 1 or 2 or 3, in 20 years. I mean, so where did you learn that? Is it something that is innate, or is it a skill that you continue to develop?
I think for me at the young age, it was very like a confidence based thing, and being able to then learn from it coming into like where I am now. Because it's not just, you got to have like a growth mindset to it. You can't have a fixed mindset and say, okay, I've got it, I'm not going to try and improve on it, or I don't have it, I'm not going to do anything about it.
Right.
So being able to like pick up on little things that you do well, maybe things you don't do well, and being able to say, all right, this is what I got to try and improve on. And leadership for me, I think, is one of my strengths. And being able to help raise the level of guys around me, I think, is something I'm pretty good at. So being able to try and figure out how could I fine tune that a little bit? How could I improve it to make me better, but then also make the guys next to me better?
Well, Mikey, I think that's, we always talk about playing your super strengths, and of course you have both feet, you can score with a head, you have great vision, you get into the box, you defend as we've shown. And Jay knows that, the coaches know that, your teammates know that, but you're playing 12 straight games for a top school because of your leadership. I mean, that is one of the things that you said it best. You make people around you better. And that's they know that, they see that. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's you're in the starting lineup because of that. That they need, any coaches, they want consistency, and you bring consistency every day. Now, what just real quick, again, you stated that it's hard to play for Jay. I won't tell him that. But it's hard to play for. You said
Yeah.
that maybe last summer.
Yeah.
Right. What were you talking about?
Just the standard that he holds you to. I mean, we were going through, like, I'll use today for an example. We're going through just simple passing patterns, building out of the back, what we want to do to get prepared for the Riverhounds this coming weekend, how we want to press. I mean, you take the angle by half a degree wrong, he's going to let you know. I mean, it's just, those are the small things that in the game, especially when you're playing against a team that's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger than you, like the Riverhounds are, you mess up your angle a little bit, they're going to get out. They're going to beat the pressure. So just having all of those fine details narrowed in, like, especially in training, so you get it down for when the time comes in the game. It's just in your head. It's just like second nature, because then you can start to think otherwise about the game. Once you have those things down, once you train them like that, especially with the way he's on you about it, makes the game easier when it comes.
Yeah, and it hasn't become easier over time in understanding the demands that he's placing on his teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's your next step, brother? I mean, you've come from 144 minutes, 146 minutes, bits and pieces, squad player to an integral part of this team. What are your goals? Where do you see yourself, next year? But then maybe more importantly, how are you going to get there?
I think something that me and Jay talked about before the spring started was the shoes I got to fill. And like, we were looking at Velko Petkovic, who was here, and the stats that he brought to the team. Yes, I played those minutes, but how well did I contribute? I had 3 goals and 1 assist. So I yes and no, it's not always about the stat sheet, but as a 10, you got to contribute. You got to put balls in the back of the net. You got to be dangerous. So I think for me next year to continue to improve on the minutes and stuff, but I think to be more effective in the chances I get, bury the ones I do, and create a little bit more for my teammates.
Love it.
And then getting there, I think it's just going to be taking advantage of the spring. I think that was one of the things that helped me make a big jump from my freshman year to my sophomore year, was utilizing the time I get in the spring. I mean, it's 5, 6 games that a lot of other schools aren't getting to play. So being able to utilize those minutes against top competition and try and get more comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah. Some things go through my mind. I mean, okay, 3 goals, yes. How are we going to get more goals? Where do we have to, what kind of runs are you thinking about making from that 10 position? I mean, you're playing on the front 4, 5. I mean, of course, we know Pitt likes to get in that full activation, that they'd like to get 5 on that back line and ask a lot of questions. So you're one of those 5. And what are you going to be working on specifically to get in and score more goals and provide more assists?
We've been looking at it a lot this spring. It's the half space run. Whether the ball is coming from the opposite half space to from the right half space to the left, or if the ball gets out to the left side, me able to run the half space through and have a diagonal ball that turns me in towards the goal, so I'm not facing the end line.
Yeah.
I think those runs through the half space to get in behind and make the back line face their own goal, it causes problems for teams. I mean, I can tell you, I don't like defending against them. So being able to be dangerous like that.
For sure. Yeah, that vertical type running and that type of pass into that type of a run from that half space, that's something that you're going to have to be cognizant of, comfortable with, and cut up the opponents because of that type of running. And yeah, this is done. How do you understand this? Like, is this just something that you verbalize and you and Jay will talk about it, you and the staff will talk about it, or are you looking at film on this?
Oh, it's film. It's film. Obviously, we talk through the film. Like when I've gone in and we've watched some of my clips where I could do other things. Like we talk through them, but it's looking at the actions. Hey, this is the run you could have made here. This is where you could stay, sit in the pocket in between the four. So being able to look at it one, but then being able to talk through it, go through the different options, because there's no one solution to every problem. There's going to be different ways you can solve it. So trying to figure out which is the best one for that situation, and then trying to relate it to each game and then each action.
Hey, Sully, you're speaking my language, and these guys are close. The guys that are on this call, really, I mean, we got some high potential players, man. I mean, there's one or two that I think, Pitt could consider, and again, just to go off on a tangent a little bit. I mean, what we're doing here tonight and what this, 3-part series is all about it's entitled Next Level. And we're just trying to find, some ideas, share some ideas on how somebody could get to the next level. And whether it's RMU, whether it's Duquesne, whether it's Pitt, whether it's a Division 2, 3 school, it's just another level. And we're just sharing some ideas, but there are a few guys that could be teammates here in a year or two. It's crazy but do they take advantage of their opportunities? One thing we were talking about with Colin last week is that when he had opportunities to perform in front of the guys that he wanted to perform in front of, like whether it was Marshall or this school or that school, he always came up smelling roses, man. I mean, he was spectacular for those 90 minutes. He was unplayable, and that was important for him. That was important for you, right? I mean, how did you land at Pitt?
They didn't come to see me. They came to see Emmanuel that day, and they came to see DeFalco. So I think Coach Gardner told me before the game, he was like, "Hey, Pitt's going to be in the building. They're here to watch Jack, but they've got you on their radar. Go ahead and do what you do, and go out and just kind of have that little extra swagger about you. Say it's time for me to go out and perform. I've done this 16, 17 years of my life. It's another game of soccer. Just let me go out and do what I do." So being able to take those moments and then just also not letting it get too much pressure on yourself in those. Just go do your thing. Let the training speak for itself. Let all the moments that you've done speak for itself. Just go play.
Yep. And these guys, everybody on this call is going to play it. Most likely, I would think that they're going to be playing at another level. Within a couple of years, a lot of these guys are going to be wanting to play college ball and maybe pros someday. And they're close, Solly. They're really close. And it's just a matter of, doing your homework, putting the time in, looking at all your tags, showing coaches, showing your staff members, that care for you. And that once you show us your tags, then that same conversations are going to happen between the same conversation that Mikey had with Coach Vidovich about more vertical running, more chances to get in behind in certain areas, more chances to receive the ball with your hips facing, shoulders facing goal instead of away from goal. All these little details, they come out because you've done a little bit of work. You've watched the film, and that's where these guys are, brother. That's where they are. So they're close. They just need to, if they really are hungry. You talked about hunger before. If they're hungry, they'll put the work in as well. Speaking of, you only have 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. What's your schedule look like? I think some of these guys in high school they're trying to keep their 4.0, or their 3.8, they got a lot of stuff going on, and they're working or they're playing for their club, and we're training sometimes 4 times a week, 3-4 times a week. and it's new to them, or maybe it's a step up for them. So, how do you time manage, brother? I mean, these guys are having the same dilemma.
Make a schedule. Make a schedule. It was mandatory for us when we came in. Jay has it, all freshmen and rookies got to do like a day planner, plan out your week ahead of time. Because we have like mandatory study hours on Sunday nights, so you could plan out your whole week. And obviously it's not necessary for me to do it anymore, like mandatory wise, but it makes the week so much easier. It lets me plan out when I'm going to try and eat, when my classes are, when I have exams, when I need to set aside extra time to study. So just being able to like get a little day planner together, and then obviously you've got your buffer room on. Okay, I've got an extra 30 minutes here. What am I going to do for that 30 minutes? So don't forget to relax, but make sure you stay on top of your stuff, school wise, athletic wise. If you're working, make sure you stay on top of your work. Do it. Try and put 110% in everything you do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I echo that for sure. Get your planner squared away. Make sure that you're organized and manage your time wisely. And really good advice, brother. Hey,
Yep.
guys, while we're talking to Mikey here in the next couple of minutes, just send any questions into the chat, and we'll make sure that for the last 10-15 minutes we ask Mikey your questions. I had one. What was it, Mikey? What was it? So summertime. What do you got cooking here? What are you going to be playing? You're going to be playing MPSL this year?
Yes, sir.
And what are your goals there?
I want to win the Rust Belt. It's first plan.
Yeah, for sure.
Individual wise, I think just continuing to grow on what I do in the spring and get me ready for the fall. But I think as a team, where we were last year and going into the playoffs, obviously I didn't get to finish the season with you guys. Shared a little bit watching the Cleveland game online, but just I want to win the title. I want to win a little conference title, and then we get rolling into the playoffs.
I think, well, I mean, Sully, again, what is it going to be about? Maybe 6-7 games you're going to be able to play?
Season starts when? June 1st or end of May?
It's going to be May. It's going to be probably mid-May.
Okay, so I'll probably get 8, maybe 7 in.
Yeah, 7-8 games. So,
Yep.
I think it's probably like, you had probably 5 goals last year. I think it's in those 8 games. I mean, we're hearing that coach wants you to score more. These are big shoes to fill when you got, what's his name?
Volko.
Phil, when you have
Yeah.
Phil, big shoes to fill with Phil gone. And if coach wants more goals and assists, that's what we're going to be asking as well.
Yep.
I mean that,
Yep.
So we'll be working on making sure that you're filling in those areas and scoring goals here. Now, did you just train from, like, say the session was 10:30 to 12? I mean, are you going home at 12? Are you staying after a little bit? Did you ever think about staying after sessions? I mean, what's it like before or after, when you were a youth player and even now?
I think as a youth player, like, take advantage of all the time you get on the field. I think there were so many times, even at Arsenal practices, when you'd be like, "All right, last game," and we'd be like, "We're the last team on the field. Let's do another one. Let's do one more." And our parents are waiting in the cars until 10:30 at night. We're like, "Practice ended 45 minutes ago. We wanted to see who was going to win." So I think take advantage of all the time you get on the field. I mean, I definitely would love to go back, play a few more small-sided games with the Arsenal guys, and I mean, it helped me improve so much. I mean, those little games, those high intense games, they're crucial. And I think carrying that over to now, I think it's the same mindset of we want to play until they kick us out. So
Yeah.
just being able to
Yeah.
take advantage all the time you get.
And I think it's going to be important your next 2 years, getting in front of goal and hitting another 20 shots.
Yeah.
Getting in front of goal and hitting another 12 shots. That there's going to be another coach out there for 10-15 minutes, and the coach can provide you with service, or you can provide the coach with a serve, and then, get a layoff or something, and then hit it off the run. So I think it's important that our players spend time, an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes just to get a little bit more reps in. I think that goes a long way too. So something to think about. And that's what, at the MPSL in the summer, we try to carve out some time at the end of sessions so that you feel more comfortable in your position. Hey, it's all about you dominating in that position, and of course developing those relationships with the guys around you. So you could certainly pull those teammates and say, hey, let's start working on some things for 10, 15. Because you're a 10 and you're playing with your 11, or you're knocking, now you bring in your 9, for an extra 10, 12 minutes at the end of the session, and now we're combining at the top of the box and then cracking some shots in from there, keeping the goalkeeper after too. Those goalkeepers love to stick around and take a few more shots at the end of the practice. I think that's something that's important for our guys to understand. Hey, Coach, is he here? Is Velada in the house? Let me see what kind of questions we got. Guys, any questions for Mikey? We'll wait until they maybe type some in here, Mikey. But knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would tell a 15, 16, 17-year-old Mikey Sullivan to get ready, for that next level?
First off, I tell them just enjoy the time of youth soccer. It's a great time. And then on the development side of things, I think don't ever be satisfied with what you got. I think there were a few times in my career where I was like, man, it feels good to be where I'm at right now, but there's always going to be a bigger fish. Or like, especially coming into Pitt, you've got guys coming from second teams of France. I mean, we've got a kid from Lyon's academy. So being able to just say, yeah, there's going to be a bigger fish out there. How am I going to outwork him today? What is he doing? And then what am I going to do to beat him? So just got to always push that little extra 1%.
Great advice, man. Great advice. Okay, we got a question here, Mike. We got two of them. AP's asking, who was someone you grew up watching or inspired by in your position that you incorporated some of their gameplay or some of their knowledge into yours?
I think obviously you could look at Messi and just looking up at him. I mean, it was a pleasure to watch. But I think another Barcelona guy was Ronaldinho. I think just some of the stuff he did with the ball, just being a little magician on it and being confident to say, yeah, I'm gonna go at this guy. He's taken the ball from me the last 2 times, but I'm not gonna let it slow me down, ruin my swagger. I want to keep going and try and create.
Well, this is interesting. Everything happens for a reason. So Ronaldinho, I mean, of course, we know he's the 11 for Barcelona in the mid 2000s and heading into 2000. I think they won the Champions League in 5.
Yeah,
and he was the best player in the world. And they would hit a lot of diagonals into him, as you know, and he's running at players at pace. This is something that probably Jay wants, from you coming, this junior year. I mean, running at players at pace. There's nothing worse for a defender to see a guy like you running at me, and then I'm dropping. I got to drop, and I'm just now creating. You're creating so much space for yourself and any others that want to get in behind. So, two good models there, Messi and Ronaldinho. Wow. We got another one here. Any other colleges that were recruiting you, or any other colleges that you were interested
in? I'd say early on in the process, obviously Duquesne, RMU. There were a few other schools. Delaware was probably the first one that I really talked to. And then in the terms of if Pitt didn't offer me, where was I looking? Right at the time where Pitt offered me the spot, I just started talking to Virginia Tech and Michigan State. So, I mean, I hadn't really got to see where either one of those options would go. I got the offer from Pitt, and I returned it back to them on the same weekend. So, yeah, I didn't get to go full recruiting mode and see where all my other options lied after the Pitt offer came in. But There wasn't any other offer I wanted to see.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good list of schools though. Michigan State, Delaware. What
VT,
was the other one?
VT.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. Yep. Um, let me look. Anything else, guys? Any other questions for Mikey? We got another one here. Who was the best player you have played with? Mark Bentz. Who was the best player you have played with, and what did he do that made him that much better? Great question, Betsy.
Great question. I think I got to go with the captain, Jackson Walty. Not technically the best player, obviously, but I think just the intangibles he brought to the game was so crucial for one, my development, and then also the success of Pitt they've had over the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, where does he play?
Um,
Where does Jackson play?
6 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Why was he so integral?
he defensively just he covered ground. He made the plays. He made the dirty plays that no one else wanted to make. And he let guys like Phil and Velko be able to show their prowess offensively, giving them that little bit of relief behind them. But I think just what made him so special was how he carried himself and how he led a team. I mean, there wasn't another guy that was as influential as he was on the field, to me at least. I mean, I'd run through a brick wall for that guy. So
Right. Great leadership skills.
yeah.
And how about his development though? I mean, he
Oh,
was. Ooh, talk to me a little bit about that development. Where did he come from and where did he end?
he came in from Montverde. The only reason he got really recruited was because of Rhodey. Rodrigo Almeida was his teammate down at Montverde, and they wanted to bring in Rhodey. And the assistant coach at Montverde said, "Hey, take a chance on this guy. He's got the right attitude. He's got a little bit of something I think you guys can pull out of him." He came in onto a Pitt team that I think had won 3 ACC games ever at that point. And they played him at right back 2 or 3 games, and wasn't the spot for him. Was not a pacey right back. So they moved him into the 6 when their 6 got injured his freshman year. I want to say 4 games in, and he didn't not start a game after they started him at that point. And just the way that he developed after that, confidence wise, technically, it was. If you looked at him like some of his film from freshman year, you would say that's not Jackson Walty.
It's embarrassing. Hey
Yeah.
guys, here's the bottom line. Jackson Welty, who signed a contract, right? He got drafted, correct?
He got drafted and he got picked up. He's on a first team contract playing with the second team in Austin right now.
Guys, he couldn't kick a ball 5 years ago. Okay. But this guy had intangibles. This guy was a leader. This guy, you got Mikey Sullivan here telling you right now that he would run through a brick wall for him, not for his teammate, not for his coach, not for his mom or not for his dad, for Jackson, the captain. And this is what you want out of your captains. And this guy is now signed a contract to play at the next level. Not only because he improved and he can certainly kick a ball,
Yeah.
and he put the work into it, but he was noticed because of his intangibles. And Pitt needed that, and Pitt still needs that. Every great RMU needs that. Duquesne needs that. Slippery Rock, CMU, all of our local schools need that. Every coach is looking for that type of a player that has a personality, right? And how's Welty's personality?
Oh, I don't want to say it's a loud personality, but you can feel his personality when he walks in the room.
Yeah, man. What were you looking for in colleges? There's another question here, real quick. I know you got to get going here, Mikey. But what are you looking for?
I got all the time in the world. If they'll keep asking, I got all the time in the world.
You the man. What were you looking for?
Education. That was something my mom told me from day one. She said, any school that wants to talk to you, you better make sure 1, they have the major you want to go into, 2, they're a well-known university, and 3, you're going to be able to do something with the degree afterwards. So the soccer comes second when you're looking at the next 4 years of your life, because eventually, whether it's 4 years after you graduate high school or you go and play pro, eventually soccer is going to run out at some point. What are you going to do after that to make a living? What are you going to do to provide for your family? So I think education piece was the biggest thing for me. Obviously, I was looking at the soccer stuff, but the degree comes first.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Education, number one. How did you make yourself stand out? Mateo's asking, how do you make yourself stand out to the recruiters compared to the other people who they were scouting? So they were scouting for Emmanuel, they were scouting Emmanuel in DeFalco, and then they see you. What stood out in your
Um,
opinion?
One, I played probably one of the better games I ever played for Arsenal, those 2 games. But two, I think the way I carried it myself. I mean, if you look at DeFalco, both those Beadling games, we said to Jonathan Swan before the game, you're gonna go put the kill on an island. His attitude's awful, and he's gonna shut down after 15 minutes. DeFalco had 2 shots in the first 2 minutes, got shut down. He didn't create anything for them the rest of both games. So I think being able to not get discouraged and just continue to carry yourself with that kind of attitude that coaches want to see, I think that's what helped set me apart. Because I mean, I didn't start either one of those games great. So I think just let myself settle in and just keep sticking with it for 90, I think was big.
Sticking with it for 90. I like that. Yeah, I mean, short-term memory loss.
Yep.
Let's go. How do you react? You were talking about that at the beginning of our webinar. The pick coaches are looking at how do you react? And it's not just the pick coaches. Any coach at the next level that wants a successful and wants to develop a successful team and wants the very best for their players are going to ask their players to have good reactions. Yeah, really good point there, Sully. And DeFalco's listening, by the way. He heard that, man. He
Good.
heard that.
Good.
And go ahead, Sully. Go ahead. You gonna say?
I was gonna say I told him after the Duquesne game, I said the only reason I'm really here is because they came to see you, and he wasn't too happy about that one.
Ryan's asking, what separates the European players from the American players? And you play with a bunch of some non-Americans, right? At Pitt.
Yeah. I think the knowledge of the game is really different. I think the way that they come in and they see the game, you see it at the highest levels, obviously, like in the Premier League, the way that they press, but the youth system over there isn't nearly as much as like that. I mean, we had a few kids come in, I can remember from this past fall, that were like, you guys press the whole game? And we're like, yeah, that's what we do. We go high pace, we go get up in their face. He's like, I've never had press. We sit in the mid block. So I think that was something I noticed immediately with some of the European guys is like, yeah, you see it on TV with the Premier League, but their youth academy systems don't always go full press. It's a lot more developmental where they'll knock the ball around the backs, see the game out a lot more. And I think something that the American guys do very well is the grit factor. I think there's a lot of, especially with the American guys on our team, they've got a lot more to prove. I mean, none of them are really on scholarships. A lot of the scholarship money goes to the European guys. So I think coming in every day and be like, yeah, you can be here for free, but I'm gonna bust you today. So it's gonna be a war every day. So I think that's something the American guys got on the European guys.
Yeah. Great question, Ryan. We got a question from Noah. What small detail did you improve to get to the next level?
That's a good question too. I think for me it was receiving on the turn. I think even in the clips that you shared of the highlight stuff, I think my ability receiving on the turn was not great. I think it took me one too many touches, took me too long to get my hips open facing forward. I mean, it's still something I'm trying to improve on, but I think especially from my freshman year to my sophomore year, being able to turn in tight spaces, being able to feel the pressure and knowing which way to turn, I think that was a big detail for me.
Yeah, brilliant. That is a small detail, and it's such an important detail. Great answer. Great question, Noah. Coach Vallada, obviously Jay and the Pitt program are helping players get to the pro level. How motivating is that for you as a younger player? What is that process like for individual players, and how does that impact the program overall? Great questions there, Coach.
Motivation wise, I mean, it's great. I mean, being able to say, yeah, I played with the Jaspers, I played with the Bertines that are now playing in the MLS. It's like, yeah, I went against that guy every day for 365 days in practice. Like seeing that level of what you got to do and how they carried themselves every day makes you hungry for to want to join them at some point. Be able to say, yeah, I played against you at Pitt, but I want to play against you on the bigger stage. I think seeing that is a huge motivator for like the successes that they have, and then what that success does for the program is huge. I think I forget who, I think it was Walty and Val. They went down to the combine last year, I believe it was, and one of the things that they told Jay when they got back is all the other players were really like they very much respected Pitt because of the way we played. So I think having that national kind of showcase to say, yeah, we win games, but we do it the right way. We play. So I think that like seeing them move on is a big impact for the program nationally.
Yeah, so that is something that our young players that are, well, our sophomores, juniors, seniors that are ready to go off, they're looking for schools right now. They got to find a school that where their style fits them, right?
Yep.
You know, I mean, if we're talking about, you know, that Mikey's going to Pitt and Pitt is recognized because of their style, you know, across the nation, that's important. You got to go to a program where their style is recognized, I think. I mean,
Yep.
I think that's something that you should, you know, with that question earlier, what should you be looking for? Education, majors, you know, what's a major, what can I minor in if that's a possibility? You know, how many credits will I have to take in this, that, and the other thing? But after academics, you gotta be looking at a few things, Mikey, right? I mean, you gotta be looking
Yeah.
at the
Staff, and just like as I said, like the right fit of style of play. I mean, you don't want to go. No one wants to go to a school where you pound the ball forward for 90 minutes. I mean, it's not fun. You can ask Roki about it up in Connecticut. It's not fun. He's running doggies every day. So it's I think trying to find a school where style of play fits what you're looking for, and also how the coaching staff's going to bring that style of play out of you. I think is big.
Yeah, for sure. And the only way to really understand that is watch games,
Yep.
go to the games, and if it's not local, then you're gonna have to watch a lot of football, you know, on the internet and grab a hold of their games and study and ask the serious questions when you're being recruited and when you have an opportunity to talk to the coach, huh?
Yep. Yep.
And we got another
Don't be
one
afraid
here.
to ask.
Yeah. What do you don't be afraid to ask? But now they just don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that they could ask besides, you know, how many freshmen are coming in? You know, this is a question that this is something that they could ask, right?
Yeah.
What
I
else
mean,
could they ask?
that's obviously one of the ones that you can ask about the recruiting class, but especially if you watched one of their games recently or like you're getting recruited during like the season, ask them about the game. Ask them, say, hey, I saw the game result. What do you think you guys could have done better to either win the game or control the game a little bit more, impose your will on the other team more? Show that you just don't want to be recruited by them just for the sake to say you're recruited by them. Show them that you're really interested and show them that you know the game. I mean, you can't express what you know if you don't talk about it. So I think being vocal about it, asking them questions, and just probing them to see what you get back. I think it's hard to tell where a coach's head's at when you're getting recruited if you don't ask them. So I think being open with them and getting them to be open with you.
Great advice. I mean, really though, Mikey, these guys have a game model. The coaches at Arsenal and Hotspurs, now Still City. I mean, we're teaching them you know, a language, and so they have a platform now to speak of. They
Yep.
can talk about, you know, how to build, and they can talk about, you know, comparing the way that they build to how their, you know, their prospective program builds. And you know, they can talk about how they transition from A to D and the things that they do in transition, both in the attack and in defense. You know, there's a lot of things that we're teaching that they could take and apply it and ask those questions to the coach, because for 4 years you're going to be there. You're
Yep.
going to be there. You know, that's where you're going to grow up,
Yep.
and you want to play some good football with some guys that care for you and think the same way that you think, or play the same way that you play. John's asking a great question here. Yeah, can you describe the jump from high school to college?
Um, I mean, I kind of touched on the pace of things and the focus and the intensity of stuff, but I think just being independent and being in control of everything you do and how much responsibility that takes. I mean, obviously you're at college, you got to one, feed yourself. You got two, make sure you get enough sleep. You got three, make sure you're getting all your books done. And on top of that, you got to perform at practice. So I think taking care of your body, making sure you eat right, sleep right. There's so many things that go into that jump. And I think it's different for everyone on how you adjust. You got to figure out what works for you. But I think just being open and willing to try new things, try adjusting the stuff. I think it's going to be big. And I think time management too. Time management's one thing I wasn't great with in high school. I mean, I saved way too many assignments for the last minute. So I think time management, now I'm trying to get stuff done. So I'm front loading my weeks, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm getting my work done after classes. So when Thursday, Friday comes, which would be our games in the fall, I got one thing to focus on. It's the game.
Well, this is what champions do. This is what champions do. And if the guys want to be recruited by a championship program, there's nothing better than holding up the cup at the end, holding up the league trophy, or the ACC champions, right?
Yep.
That's what we're looking for. I mean, how are you going to become a champion other than strong work ethic, planning, preparation, time management, responsibility, right? Rocco's asking a great question about Pitt style. Does Pitt style suit you?
Yes. For being an athletic guy who likes to run forward, yes. They get me in positions where I can unbalance defenders, I can run at them, ask questions of a defense. And then defensively, like I kind of touched on earlier, being able to high press teams. I mean, I've never been a real fan of sitting back and parking the bus. Obviously, it has its moments in a game, but being able to impose your will on teams, both offensively and defensively, I think Pitt lets me do that.
Love it. Hey guys, any last questions for Mikey? Mikey, you the man. Thanks so much for sharing your time, man.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Mikey, let's do it again next year after another ACC championship, or another conference championship, another run into the playoffs, deep run into the playoffs, and we can talk about how you scored those 15 goals. What are we looking for here? Let's leave it with a number here. I want to know goals and assists. Are you going to go Rashford on us? Is that how good you're going to be?
Oh man, that guy's form right now. If I'm touching that, no, we'll shoot for double digits on both.
Double digits on both.
Yeah, let's get double digits on both.
Okay. Hey, round of applause for Mikey, man. Love it. Hey, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.